114,000 people have been evacuated so far. Joining us right now to talk more about this is Michael O'Hanlon, who is senior fellow at the Brookings Institution. And Michael, it's good to see you this morning.
Likewise, Becky.
I haven't talked to you in a while. What the heck happened?
You know, I think we lost control of events once we decided to leave in April. A lot of people are saying sort of the opposite, that they appreciate or agree with the decision to leave. They just don't like how it was done. But when you decide to pull out and do so fairly quickly between April and August, I think you lose control. And there are a lot of bad things that could have happened. We just happened to see one possible scenario, the rapid Taliban takeover. And frankly, there is even a silver lining in how it happened. Despite the terrible tragedy of Thursday, there hasn't been that much killing, at least so far, in this takeover, which I expected to occur. I thought there would be much worse violence than happened in the process of the Taliban coming to power. So to me, yes, there have been some mistakes and obviously one horrible tragedy last week. But for the most part, I would say that August has been less bad than I expected once we lost control of the situation by deciding to pull the plug on the mission, which I do not think we should have done. But obviously, President Biden felt otherwise.
So what happens now, Michael? The deadline is set for tomorrow. There have been promises, or I should say assurances, made by the Taliban saying that they will continue to allow people to leave. Do you believe that? Partly. I think the Taliban do want to stay partly on our good side to the extent possible. They want the diplomatic recognition. They want access to financial and bank accounts across the world in the name of the Afghan government. And someday they're going to want humanitarian assistance for food, COVID, et cetera. So I'm not suggesting they're going to turn into a nice democracy just to please us and get those things. But if they can make small adjustments in their policy preferences in order to get favorable treatment from the outside world, I think they will. Does that mean they're going to make it easy to leave? No, I don't think so. But if there are specific people that we identify by name and ask if they can leave through some kind of a bureaucratic process, I think they may eventually let them go. I'm getting to be more concerned now about the people who will never be on any such list. You know, the 20 million women in Afghanistan, the several million Hazara who are Shia Muslims viewed as apostates by the Taliban. Those are the kind of people whose treatment I think we're going to have to try to use those incentives to improve and force the Taliban to moderate to some extent in the months and years to come. And there may be something to work with there. Michael, those lists that you're talking about have been pretty widely criticized as kill lists, essentially, giving the Taliban and other forces just identities of who to kind of go after and target. You don't think that's the case? You think it might actually work to your advantage to be on one of those lists?
I wouldn't give an entire list all at once for the same reason you just mentioned, Becky, but I think you can test the proposition. You know, maybe it's too late in some cases. Maybe we've already given over big lists. But and in some cases, you know, if you were a student at American University in Kabul, for example, they know probably, you know, that you're in that category. But I don't think the Taliban are in the business at this point, at least, of exacting revenge against whole categories of people like that. And our job has to be to make sure they don't. So you give some names, you look for some flexibility. And then, as my friend Lee Sauer just wrote in the LA Times today, you try to get maybe a UN observation mission in there made up of Muslim soldiers that can verify the moderation in treatment of some of these groups by the Taliban and verify that there is not widespread violence. And to the extent the Taliban would let a few thousand people in who are Muslims, not Westerners, then perhaps that's one more mechanism we have to try to ensure a moderation of their behavior. It's obviously not going to be perfect, but I do think we have some leverage.